So thank you to you all for coming, and thank you to Ariel and Kinneret, or Kinneret and Ariel, for hosting us. So to begin, my mother's mother was a gypsy. That's what she told me, and I believed her. She said our people were descended from the missing tribe of Israel who left the Holy Land a long time before the birth of our Lord Jesus Christ. She bowed her head at this point, and she made me do the same. You must do this, she said, whenever you mention his name, or his mother, the Blessed Virgin Mary. She bowed her head again, and made me do the same. She said our people wandered through the desert, over mountains, and across all sorts of foreign land, until they came to the most beautiful place on earth. And where's that? I asked. Ireland, she said. And do we live there? She hesitated at this point. No, we live in Manchester. Oh, Manchester, with so much to answer for. But don't worry, she said. One day we'll all go back there when I win spot the ball. This piece is called The Label. Is Coke the real thing? No, that is not a first-year essay title. It's a question I'm thinking, and now I'm saying it out loud. What is it that makes anything real into a real thing? Or as some might say, the real thing. Is it the taste, or the sound, or the feel of something that makes it what it is? Or is it a description of whatever it is that is supposed to be inside the specific container? Tea, coffee, sugar, etc. I would say it is all and or it is none of these things, because in my mind there is no question, as everything that is whatever it is real. Even if it is a fake, it is real. It really is a fake. Although I would say there is at least one exception I can think of that might prove that what I'm saying to you this evening is incorrect. A work of art is not a real thing. Because whatever it is that makes or that turns a work of art into a work of art in the first place, it is never there in the thing which is the actual thing itself. No. We're the ones who say what it is through the words we speak and or write about our own experience of being with that thing, which is the thing that we might subsequently want to call it a work of art. It is, isn't it? It is a work of art. Yes, I think it is. Of course, in order to reassure ourselves that it is whatever it is we think it is, through our own opinion, we might also want to look at the label to see what, if anything, it might tell us about a thing or about the arrangement of things which we do not already know. For instance, whether or not the work of art has a title, Sunset in Bombay, or David lying on a sun lounger, or the name of the artist or the artist who made it, or the year or in between which years it was made. But is this really what we want to know? As a label inevitably divides our attentions, it takes us away from the thing, which is the thing that we have to contemplate. How do I, or does it, make me feel to be here at this moment, to look at and or to listen to, or to somehow try to navigate or to negotiate my own feelings I have in relation to its presence, or an assumption I'm making about its presence? Is it a work of art? I like a work of art to look like what I imagine a work of art should look like, or it should sound like if it's an audiovisual piece. But even more than that, I think I want a work of art to dispel my immediate expectations. I want a work of art to take apart the theories I have so far been able to establish for myself. Is it a work of art? I don't know if it is a work of art. But I imagine you are thinking, what is he talking about with all of these questions? To raise a question in relation to an assumption that I or that anyone else might make. To raise a question in an effort, I think, to try to overcome the burden of the boredom, or the burden of having too much knowledge. I want to have my suspicion aroused, and to do what I can to arouse suspicion. And I would say to you, in answer to the question, which I imagine you're thinking, why is he asking himself so many questions, and therefore arousing our suspicion? To be in a moment, in a particular moment of time, like the one that we're all in at the moment, it is not unlike, I imagine, what it's like to be in any other moment of time that may or it might not have ever occurred. Time is, I think, a concept. As much as it is, or as much as it might be anything else, to be in a moment does not rule out the possibility of it as being a fantasy. When we say things to one another like, can you imagine this or can you imagine that? What are we actually asking one another to do? I would say we're asking one another to move away from the actuality. I'm sure that's the word. The actuality of being, whatever it is, we are being at that moment. To imagine what? What are we supposed to imagine? To imagine whatever it is we might want to imagine in an effort to escape from the banality of being in, or in an effort to escape from the overwhelming horror of having to be in a particular moment, or in a particular situation that we don't care to be in. To look forward to something that hasn't happened yet, or to look back at something that is, well, it is whatever it was. If a particular moment exists, which I think it does, because I think we're in one at this moment, then I think it must exist through each and every other moment of time that has ever existed, or that might have ever been said to exist. A moment of time is, in my own mind, it is immeasurable, and we must not confuse a moment with a minute. A minute is not a moment, and a moment is not a minute. We, for instance, are in a moment now, aren't we? All together now, aren't we? I can see you, that you're there, or are you here, as being something that's before my eyes. You are, aren't you, really something? Well, you were once upon a time. I can see that you were there, or are you here, as being something that is before my eyes. But if I decide at some stage later on that I want to recall this moment, I might just close my eyes. And I think I will. I will close them now, so I close my eyes. And I think I can see you, that you are there already in my mind. But what happens, this is what I'm wondering at the moment, what happens if I wake up and discover that you were just a dream? Or of course you might have been a nightmare. Sometimes. I think it's quite difficult for me to be able to tell one from the other. Anyway, at this moment, which is the one that we're all in at the moment, it is not fixed into being or into becoming anything in particular. I might be wrong, of course. I have been in the past. And I may be once or twice again and again and again and again, for all I know. I'm only human after all. And the only time, isn't that what they used to say? That only time will tell. Will tell us what? What is time supposed to tell us? Or another one they used to say was that time is a great healer. Well, it isn't, is it? Until you're dead, that's it. Is what I'm thinking, but I do not say this because I've been trained in the ways of good manners. Do not say what you're thinking, Bernard, it's impolite. Instead, we have to think of something to say which is innocuous. So I, like everyone else, I say very little, if I can help it. And I nod my head and I murmur, And then I wait for a little while before I murmur, again, and again, and again, and again, and again. And as if, or as though, I am in agreement with the statement that time is a great healer. But it isn't. Time is not a great healer. It's just one of those things we learn how to say something to one another which doesn't make sense. to try to cover up our own embarrassment. So I say something like, I do not know what to say, or I am speechless. To get into, or more importantly, to try to get out of a situation where I feel as though I'm drowning, nodding my head up and down like a yo-yo, while I'm drowning, still nodding my head up and down like a yo-yo, while I'm trying to wade a way through my own way through a deluge of self-righteous indignation, which has been liberally soaked in self-pity. Don't point the finger of suspicion at me. It was him what said it. I feel as though I must say something at this moment. I feel as though I must say something. Otherwise, the silence becomes too much, and as the years go by, it becomes unbearable. But do years go by? I do not think so. Or do we go by? Yes, I think that we go by. We go by the years, the months, the weeks, the days, the hours, minutes, etc., etc., until it seems to me as though a whole lifetime is passing by so quickly. My lifetime, yours, so many different lifetimes are passing by one another so quickly, as we, each and every one of us in turn, it seems to me, we're trying to turn back time a little, to be able to have a little more time to be able to take stock, but to take stock of what? Did you have a good time? Yes, I think I had a great time. The constant quest to measure, or to try to measure one thing in relation to another, which is, in my view, it only makes the situation go from bad to worse. Relax a little, I think I would say. To whoever it is, I might be saying this too. And try to give yourself a break, enough time to breathe, to think about, or to think about whatever it is you want to think about. Why not try to think about the first thing that comes into your head, to become a little more comfortable with being whoever it is you imagine yourself to be. And try to let go of the fear. I think that is the main thing, to try to let go of the fear of falling, or the fear of failing, or the fear of fear, which is often the thing that undermines everything else that we try to do. Do not be afraid of being afraid, but do not live through fear. Easy enough though, isn't it? You might, I imagine, be thinking. For him to say that with all of those years of maturity already. No, not really. It's not so easy for me to say that. But if it makes you feel better, any better to be able to think that, or even say it out loud, the usual rhetoric, then it's no skin off my nose. It is not, in my view, the amount of time we have to spend on the earth. It's about the quality of time we have to spend together. I like other people. I like talking to other people. But I find as the years go by that I have to put too much effort, wasting time, my own time, trying to find the right words to say something, which is whatever it is I imagine that this is what they want me to say something like this. I'm sorry for your loss. Or I know what you're going through, when I don't. I do not know what you're going through. But if there is anything you think I might be able to do to help you, then please just let me know. Give me a call, drop me an email, or whatever. To let me know what you're going through, then I will have to think about it, I suppose, while I'm trying to imagine the scenario that he said this or that she said that, etc. Too much time, in my opinion, is spent with people trying to share their own personal woes and worries with one another, and as if it was a virtue. It is good to get it off your chest and out into the open, obviously. No, it's not always obvious that it's good to get it off your chest and out into the open. It is not necessarily a virtue, nor is it necessarily a vice. It just depends, I suppose, on the different moods that people happen to be in at whichever moment it is in relation to one another. Time is, as they say, or as they used to say, it's a great healer. Until you're dead, of course, which is not what you're supposed to say, I know that. But therein lies the rub, which is in my book. It is the pleasure of being, as I am now, at a certain age or at a certain stage of my life, where I feel as though I'm able to say whatever it is I want to say, which is not necessarily a virtue, nor is it necessarily a vice. Too late though now, isn't it? When the words are already spoken, already out there, and into the world where they might mingle alongside other words, trying to recover from the significance of a particular sentence, or to heal the rift that has grown between us? Was it me, or was it you? Did I say something? I know it wasn't me. I'm thinking this, but I'm not saying this, of course, because I know what I'm supposed to say. I can see you, that you're already there, or are you here as being something before my eyes? But if I decide at some stage later on that I want to recall this moment, this particular moment of time of being with you, then I might close my eyes. And I think I will. I think I'll close them now. And then I wake up. Thank you very much.